Hey everybody, hold on. Instagram's giving me a little bit of an issue. Hold that thought. Let's get this worked out before we get started so that we're all good and we're ready to go. There it is. Perfect. So, hi everybody. I'm Danielle Massi. For those of you guys who are new to my world, I am a licensed therapist and intuitive shadow worker. And last week we went all in talking about how to deepen your connection to spirit. Like some of the basic steps that you can use to actually increase your access to that connection and use it the way that you want to. I gave you all 5 steps, 5 things that you could do to access that connection, to amplify your gifts. And this week is part 2. And so I'm really excited to bring you the next piece of this because afterwards it seemed like the response was really big. Like everybody wants more of this topic. And I know for me, when I first started my own spiritual journey, this is something I wish I could have found because I didn't know where to start. I felt like I knew that there was something there, but I didn't know how to access it. And so I just found myself like going through Google and trying to find anything that would help me get closer in. And so I just want to say hi to everybody popping on. Hi, Lindsay. I've got Michelle. I see Karen. Heal Within too. Yeah, so many people coming in. Mind Body Miller. Oh, hi. Yay. Okay, perfect. For those of you guys who didn't see part 1, you're definitely going to want to go back and watch that one because I give some really, really deep stuff on that live. So that one's located already inside of my feed for those of you guys on Instagram. Just go back in and find my most recent video after this one's over. And for you guys in my Facebook group, the Clarity Club with Danielle Massi, it's posted where it always is. So just go and watch the most recent live video. But I want to pick up where I left off there and give you guys even more ways to access and deepen this connection to spirit. And so let's kick it off with the first thing. What I want you guys to add into your own routine, step number 6, is going to be free writing in a journal after you meditate. And there's some really specific reasons why I want you to do it this way. First off, when you meditate, when you actually connect in with yourself and really align yourself up with spirit and with the earth, you're just a clear channel. Everything is so clear. You're such a perfect vessel for messages to come through. And so when you finish up a meditation, if you just pull out like a journal and you grab a pen and a piece of paper, what you could do is you could just sit, pull it out and just sit and just think to yourself, whatever needs to come through, allow it to come through. And then just let the pen do all the work. Let yourself start to write. And as you do, what you will find is you start to channel messages and things will come through you that you didn't realize could come through you because they aren't exactly you. They're channeled messages from your spirit guides. And so you'll be writing and you won't have a plan, you won't have a thought, but words will just find themselves on the paper. Things like this is exactly where you're supposed to be, or you need to be doing more of this, or whatever it is that you need to know. I do this sometimes for myself too. Like sometimes when I feel like I just want to be a really, really clear, open vessel for any message from spirit, I'll just do one of these free writing meditations where I do my meditation, I close it down afterwards, and then I just pick up that pen and I start to go. And when I do that, I usually put those messages on places like Instagram because they're not always for me. And in fact, usually they're not for me. They're meant for everyone as a whole. And so I just put whatever it is that comes through, whatever message for the collective, whatever it is that needs to be said, I just let it come and I let it move right through me. And so that can be a really amazing way to first off recognize that you are in fact a channel and you have this capability. Every single one of us does. And you can access that whenever you want to. You can always connect in with spirit. You can always use that information and let things flow through you at whatever pace you want to. So that would be the next thing I would recommend doing. In terms of how often to do this, the question is really, how often do you want to? What feels right? If it's something you want to add into a daily practice, bring that in every day. If it's something you want to save for special occasions like new moons or like December 21st, it's going to be a really, really powerful, potent, energetic day. Save them for special occasions. Do whatever feels right within your body. And that would be the next tip. So let's move on to number 7. The next thing I want to add in, which is one that I always struggled with, is to use food as medicine. A good friend of mine practices Ayurveda, and she infuses it into every aspect of her life. And one of the things that she says all the time is everything is either medicine or poison. Everything. You can have something that's a really powerful, amazing root, but if you eat too much of it, it could kill you. You can have something that in small amounts just makes you feel good and gives you a little bit of like an estrogen spike or a little bit of like a dopamine hit. But if you eat too much of it, will make you feel like your cravings are all out of whack, your mood, your hormones, everything is destabilized. So start to eat food not based on its availability, which is something that I used to do all the time, like it's here, so I'll eat it. And start thinking about it really intentionally and really mindfully. What is this thing that I'm putting into my body going to do for me? How is it going to nourish me? What is it that is going to add to my life? What's the benefit? And when you eat like that or you drink water like that, you focus on the things that are coming into your body, you really align your entire vessel in such a way that it's like you open yourself up to that experience because you're listening. You're really listening to your body and you're listening to spirit and going, is this something I'm supposed to be doing? Is this something that I need right now? And so that channel that you already worked on really cleansing and clearing is just that much more attuned. Plus, certain foods will actually increase your ability to connect with spirit, and some will make it a lot harder. So for instance, we talked last time about the calcification of the pineal gland. It's that little gland right up here where your third eye is. And that gland is really responsible for a lot of your ability to connect in with spirit. And so many of us do things like use fluoride toothpaste or, drink things like dairy, like milk. And when we do that, we're literally calcifying or hardening that pineal gland. We're making it so that it becomes sort of like a rock instead of like the gland that's vibrating very high that we need to use to connect in and to open up that channel. So removing things like that out of your diet, especially permanently, really getting rid of them and just kind of kicking them to the curb, keeps that gland at a point where it can vibrate at its highest potential. It makes it so that you can access whatever it is that you want to access very easily. I told you before, this is something that I was really reluctant to do in the past. I had a really hard time with opening myself up to the idea of allowing food to be medicine. Because for me, it was like, it's just too hard. There's so many reasons why this isn't the one that I want to tackle. I'm going to tell you now, despite all of my reluctance, it's the one that's made things the most clear. Because when you get rid of foods that cause inflammation in your body, things like gluten and dairy and sugar and other types of wheat or processed foods as a whole, what happens is you start not experiencing fog anymore, but you have real crystal clear clarity. I didn't even recognize how much fog I had before. It seemed to me like I was thinking at a perfectly high level until all of a sudden it didn't, like the cloud lifted and I could just see things with so much depth that I didn't have access to before. And that goes for spirit too. All of the gifts that I had, the experiences that I have with the clients that work with me, got so much deeper when I was able to recognize that food could be medicine or poison. And so really just paying attention to that. Maybe even using that journal that you brought out to do those free journaling exercises to clear out and strengthen that channel. And just start thinking about what you're putting into your body. What are the things that you're using to nourish yourself? Are you drinking enough water? Are you ingesting too much sugar? Are you using things like drugs and alcohol to numb yourself? Because when you do that, you're not selectively numbing, you're numbing everything. You're numbing your entire vessel to every experience. So really being mindful of that piece. So that's the next tip that I have for you guys. The 8th thing that I want you to pay attention to, and this one might seem a little bit trippy, so bear with me because I'll explain, is to listen. But not just listen with your ears. I want you to listen for spirit with your eyes, with your body, and with your emotions. So here's what that means. Spirits connect with us in a huge range of different ways, depending on our own ability to receive the information. So think about the type of person you are. Are you an audiophile? Do you love listening to music? Is your escape putting on a pair of headphones and drifting off somewhere? Are you someone who can really pay attention to the notes in music and hear them in a way that's a little bit more acute than other people? Or are you someone who's very visual? Do you like art? Do you like design? Do you like seeing things come together? Do you like watching movies? Do you like imagining when you close your eyes and dreaming? Are you someone who feels things with your full body? Do you really enjoy doing things like movement and dance and yoga that get you into your body? Or are you hyper aware of how you physically feel all the time? Like, do you notice the second that you get cold? Do you notice when you're too hot? Are you always feeling how clothing feels on your body? Like if something's too itchy or scratchy or soft? Or the last one is, do you feel things internally? Emotionally, are you someone who is highly sensitive to how other people feel? Do you feel like when you're around someone who's extremely anxious that you pick it up and you feel it intensely? Or when someone's depressed, it's like someone sucked all the air out of the room. Do you feel other people's emotions, and do you feel the need to influence theirs? In any of those 4 ways, you are someone who connects into this realm, but also into the realms beyond. And so if you're someone who's an audiophile and really likes music and all that stuff, you might be a little bit clairaudient, which means that you can hear spirits. If you're someone who is really focused on the visuals and you like design and aesthetics and all that stuff, that's clairvoyance. If you're someone who just kind of knows things out of nowhere and you don't understand why you know them, like you just have information and you're like telling people, hey, guess what? This is going to happen. That's clairsentience. And then you have, which ones am I missing? Oh, I'm sorry, that was claircognizance. And clairsentience is when you can feel the emotions in the room. Like you just sort of know things all the time. And then there's the kinesthetic piece, when you feel it within your body. Like all of a sudden you just know. You probably, as you're listening to this, feel multiple of these things. Like, yeah, like sometimes I like music, but other times I really like to do art. Or I feel like I'm always in my body, but also I just know things I'm not supposed to know. These different gifts are all important. And the more that you understand them, the better off that you'll be. So when you're connecting in with spirit, what you want to do is listen with any one of those skill sets, whichever one feels right for you. And so for me, when I first started getting into this, my body was like an antenna. That was the way that I connected with spirit more than anything else. And so what would happen is when spirit would try and contact me, I'd feel almost like a wheel spinning in my back. And it was like someone was like sort of switching me on, like, hey, Danielle, pay attention. We're trying to talk to you. And then when I would get a message, it would be like a shiver running down my spine or down one of my legs. It would feel like tingles running across my back or my body. It would feel like things. But it could also be something where when spirit is trying to connect with you, they impact your emotions. They try and tweak them to get your attention. So you'll be sitting along and you'll just feel something. And you go, whoa, what the hell is that feeling? Or if it's clairvoyance, that's when you start to see things. And so in the beginning, when spirits aren't trying to scare you, they do things like they'll just kind of knock a book off of a shelf or like slowly open a drawer or things like that. When it's clairaudience, it'll be something like scratching or like tapping, or you'll hear creaking in floorboards and stuff that other people aren't paying attention to, probably because they can't hear it. Start paying attention to all of these different things. Listen with every one of your senses, not just your ears. Because depending on your own strengths and the things that you've worked on, spirits will communicate with you differently. And so if they know that you recognize these things and you're paying attention to them, they'll inadvertently get louder. They'll make it a little bit more clear. And you can even strengthen that connection by saying out loud, sort of like we talked about last time. One of the tips was to talk to your spirit guides. So add that in here. If you hear scratching and nobody else hears it, or you're by yourself and there's no reason to be hearing that, say out loud, spirit guides, I just heard a scratching. Can you confirm if that was you? And you'll feel it in your body like a yes or a no, or you'll hear it again or something. They'll start to communicate with you a little bit more. They'll let you know that they are listening just as much as you are. And now the dialogue gets really strong. So anytime you experience anything you think is from spirit, like say you see a red robin that keeps coming to your window and you've never seen it before, but for the past week it's been showing up every day. Say, spirit, I keep seeing this red robin. Is that you? And just Open that dialogue up. So listen with every one of your senses. The next tip then is to strengthen your clairs. So all the things that we just mentioned, that clairvoyance, the clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, strengthen these gifts. Whichever one you feel like is the strongest one that you have right now is a great starting point. So if you're someone who is really musically inclined, that clairaudient sort of person, try and in your mind, think of music. Think of music when there's nothing else going on, when it's quiet, and hear it in your mind. And then start to manipulate it, create something new. You could even do this out loud if you want to, like humming along in a certain way and then changing the pattern and just trying to create some different tones. When you do that and you really strengthen that ear, you're also going to strengthen that clairaudience. Same thing goes for all the other gifts. So let's take clairvoyance. If you're someone who sees things, I'm just going to take this one because I have this card on my desk, right? This is a card from Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light deck. So I'm going to show it to Instagram first, and then I'll bring it to Facebook. So for my Instagram people, this is a picture of a woman standing outside of a cave. You can see that she's wearing a long flowing dress. The sky is sort of a teal color with some clouds. And I will bring this over to Facebook now. The colors are going to look a little bit different because I have my fun little filter on here with the stars. But you'll get the gist and see all the same details on here. So when I was increasing my clairvoyance, one of the things that I did is I would stare at a picture like this one for about 30 seconds. And then I would close my eyes and I would recall all of the details of the picture. What is it that my brain could reconstruct? What can I remember? And I would start putting those pieces back together. And if I had a hard time doing it, I would open my eyes and stare at the picture again. And once I had it down, I would then close my eyes and reconstruct the picture. When I got really, really good at this, I started to manipulate the picture. So we have this girl here and she's standing in front of the cave. And so what I would imagine is that she would walk into the cave. I would just close my eyes and I would visualize her walking across all these rocks, feeling how it would feel as she did so, and having her enter the cave. And you can do this for any of those clairs. For any clair, there's a way for you to first strengthen and then take it a step further by creating some manipulation within it. And the more you can do that, the stronger your gifts become. And so now we're doing all the right things. We're eating the right foods. We're becoming a clear channel. We're really listening to our guides. And now our gifts are so strong that it's easier for them to get through to us. And so I have one final piece of advice for all of you. This is piece number 10 of the series. And this is the last one I'm going to offer as your way to strengthen your connection to guides. And just so you guys know, my kinesthetic reaction right now is I'm getting tingles up both of my legs and my shins. So thank you, spirit guides. The 10th one that I have is they want you to start asking for signs. Some of you guys might feel like that feels a little bit hokey, or it feels weird, or it feels like you're pressuring them to make something happen for you. It's not. When you ask for a sign, that is you co-creating with the universe. And so get specific about what you want. And maybe what you're looking for is to see something like dimes. And when you see them, you'll know in your heart, in your mind, in your body, that that is them saying you're on the right path. This is something that is meant for you. Or maybe the sign is going to be butterflies or lilies. Maybe it's going to be certain phrases that people say because you like hearing things more. So every time you hear someone say something, you just know that was for me. Ask for signs. Co-create with the universe. Connect in with your spirit guides. Let it be an open dialogue. Honestly, more than anything else, that is the piece that hinders most people when it's in terms of connecting in with spirit, is that they're afraid. They're afraid that that connection is going to scare the shit out of them because nobody just wants ghosts walking around their room or feeling like they're in over their heads. But it's also a fear of self, because once you pop that open and you get really, really connected in, you're going to be unstoppable. And that can feel scary as hell, because having that much power over your own domain, even though it sounds beautiful in theory, can feel really scary. I'm here to tell you it's not scary at all. I'm here to tell you that when you open this up, it really does feel like a co-creation. That it's not just you anymore. It's now you connected in with the earth. It's you connected in with spirit. It's you doing everything that you need to do in a way that feels completely and totally aligned. And so that's where I'm going to end this one for today. I'm going to create some kind of graphic that has all 10 of these steps on it. So if you want that, make sure you reach out to me because I will send it to you to make sure that you have it and you can reference back to these whenever it is that you need to call upon them. And I also want to know how it goes as you try and utilize all these 10 steps. As you try and increase and strengthen your relationship to spirit, let me know what's working. Let me know how it feels to do these certain tasks. And then we can open up a conversation from there. All right, guys, I'm always here to support you and guide you along your journey. Best of luck with all these endeavors, and I will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.